Well, today we're going to create some users, play with chmod, chown, and chgrp, as well as, of course, always create a server. So let's first create a server, and then we'll talk while it's getting going. So launch instance, and we're just going to call this playing. Of course, we're using Amazon Linux, just the small stuff, and I'm going to use my default key pair, my main one, so I don't have to use the -i launch instance. While that's launching, well, let's get the IP. So we'll be all ready for when it's ready. So, yeah, it already has its IP address here. We'll get it this way so we can just click and copy. And now SSH, I don't need the -i because I'm using my default one. EC2-user, since it's Amazon Linux, at, and the IP address. Now it's not going to work yet. Oh, it is. That was pretty fast creating. I thought it wouldn't work yet, but it's there. Sweet. So if we look, we don't really have much here. We have some things here that are hidden. Yeah, if I did an ls, there's nothing there. Let's touch temp. So temp is there, and we're going to do an ls-l. So if we look here, the first one kind of mentions if it's a directory or not. So up here we can see that there is a directory here in the dot and the dot and the .ssh. And then it has read, write, and in fact, read, write, and execute. So the first group of 3 is for user. The second group of 3 is for the group. And the third group of 3 is for other. So there's a lot of ways to explain this, but let's think about it as a country. If you're in a country, you probably have certain rights as a citizen. Visitors have certain rights, and people who aren't allowed in but somehow snuck in have different rights. So this could be military, this could be, well, or they don't have rights, or it depends what you give them, right? So user, group, other. You could think about this as a citizen of a place, a visitor, and an unwelcome occupant. But sometimes you do, for example, if you have an unwelcome person there, you probably still want to give them water, right? You don't want someone to die on your land. So there's reasons why you might have things here, right? Some places, depending on why people are there, might give them lots of things. So it depends on the resource. So anyway, but this is user, according to in the Linux world, group, and other. Okay, sweet. So if you notice, we have some defaults when we created temp. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in the next video I'm going to release. But this video, we're going to keep it kind of simple. So let's actually make a directory as well. mkdir. I can't think and type at the same time. ls-l. So you'll see that these have slightly different permissions, okay, by default. Now, the first command I want you to get a little more familiar with in this video is chmod. So man chmod. And we'll just look at all these. So change the file bits. And if I scroll down here, there's going to be, there's sometimes options, there's not. So recursive would go down through, verbose silent. Yeah, there's not a lot of options here, but there are different ways of using it. So we're going to show you one of them today. But let me introduce you to the other one. So we're going to do, so man chown, where you change the owner of a file, and group. You can do both. And man chgrp, change the group ownership. So those are 3 commands closely related. You use them a lot when you're working with file ownership. Okay, so let's do the following first. If we look at the files that we created, ls-l, we can see here that temp has read and write on, so this is user and group. Okay. Well, what if we don't want, oh, and other has read, and the temp directory has read and execute. Let's remove the read and execute from the temp directory. So to do that, we're going to do chmod, and other is the group minus read and x for execute, and on the directory temp. Oop. Oh, I did. Oh, 0 instead of O. Oh. Okay, so now if we do an l/l, we can see that that is now gone. So this is what I removed, the R and the X. If you look, other, which is the third one, minus R and X. Pretty simple, right? So let's remove the read from this file as well. So chmod, I keep trying to do 0, minus R. You'll learn in the next video why. Temp, ls/l. There we go. So we've removed the read on that as well. So user can do stuff, group can do stuff, other can't. So let's talk a little bit. This right here is also the user, and this is the group. Now that can change. So if we cat etc groups, sudo cat etc group. Okay, etc group. We can see here the different groups. By the way, if you look at the user, so if we, let's just grep ec2-user in, and I'm gonna have to do sudo on this, passwd. Well, let's check. I don't. Okay, so we can see that its user and group is the same number. So here in group, we have the group number of 1,000 for ec2 user. Okay, so we could change the group. Let's change it to, it's not really a good group here. We're going to add a group. So group add, and we're just going to call it group numbers. And I'll just call it numbers, so you're not confused. Numbers. Okay. And permission denied, because I have to be root to it. So sudo. Okay. And we've added group numbers. So now if we look at cat sudo cat etc group, we can see numbers is here with 101. So we can use numbers or 101 when we're changing things, but we're just going to sudo. Oh, let's try it without sudo. So if we look here, we have temp and temp, and they both have ec2 user. Let's just do a chgrp, and we're going to change the group to the numbers for temp. And it's going to say not permitted because you need to be root. So sudo bang, and it did it. So now if we do ls/l, we can see there's the user, there's the group. So now the user has this permission and the group has this permission. Well, this permission is the same. So let's just change that. Chmod. We're going to do group minus, let's get rid of right on temp. Okay. So now if we do ls/l, we can see that we've moved the right. Sweet. Okay. So let's see. Let's do, so we need to do chown as well. To do chown, we better add some owners. So let's do this. User add user1. Oh, sudo bang bang, sudo user add user 2. I wonder, I think I can do this. User 3, user 4. Nope. User 2, user 3. By the way, I'm just hitting the up arrow and the back space once and 4. So we add those. So now if we look at tail, so we're just going to look at the bottom, -7, Etsy password. So look at the users. We can see there's the last couple users. So, and we see we've added those users. Sweet. And we look at, this is in EC2's home directory. So let's run a chown. Chown. And we're going to say user1 temp. Okay, this is not going to work, by the way, but the reason why is because you have to be root. You have to be root because if you created this huge file and assigned it to another user and say the users were only allocated a certain amount of space they could use on a system, you could make it so that user couldn't operate anymore. So this is a root level function. So now if we do ls-l, we can see that, hey, look, user1 owns it. But EC2 user is the group, okay? So let's change that. So with chown, so sudo chown, you can actually say, and let's change it to user 2. User 2, you can do a colon and then the group. We're going to do numbers. Temp. Cool. So the problem is maybe we want to add all these numbers to, we probably should have created, when I create users, if I want to add them to a group, I'm just going to show you that really quick. User add, I usually do -g, and then we can give the numbers. So the group, tell it to create the new user with group numbers. So this would be number 4. Number 4. And of course, sudo, bang, bang. Now we can cat Etsy password. Oh, let's just tell -7 on it. In fact, I'm going to do set-ovi. That way I can do escape and search backwards for tail. And I'll just get my command and I hit enter. So here we can see that user 1 has its own group, user 2 has its own group, but numbers 4 has group 1001, which if we looked at Etsy group, this is going to be that new group that we added. Just so, in fact, if we created another one, let's just come back up here and create number 5. And let's do that tail again. We can see that here their group is the same, okay, even though they're different users. So I hope that this has been helpful. Adding groups to, adding users to specific groups can help you set up permissions on files so they can share and whatnot. And that would be a great exercise to try. And we'll learn more in the next video. Have a good one.